In this video, I'm going to show you 5 different ways to adjust your volume here in GarageBand to mix your projects. So let's go. Now, to help you out, because we're discussing all the different ways to adjust volume and gain in GarageBand, I've got some timestamps down in the description so you can jump around to the 5 different sections. If you're just starting out, this should give you a complete grounding in everything volume related to help you mix your tracks. And even if you're a more advanced user, you might just pick up a trick or two along the way. Let's start with the basics, which is our volume sliders. Now, to access these in GarageBand on the iPhone or iPad, we tap and hold on this little handle and we slide to the right, and this is going to expose our mixer panel. So here you've got things like your mute, your solo, your record light, and your monitor button. I cover those in other videos. There'll be some links in the description, but the most important thing we have here is our volume faders or sliders, which we can move down, right down to 0 volume and right up to what is the equivalent of plus 12. Now you'll notice here that we don't have any volume markings, so you are flying a little bit blind when it comes to GarageBand volume, but you can still tweak these with a little movement there to make sure that you get your balance right. So if I come in here and play this track as it is at the moment, it sounds like this. So it's not bad, yeah, everything's kind of mixed, but what I want to do is once I've recorded in my instruments, I may want to start tweaking the volume. So for instance, I want these guitars to be a bit louder, so I'm going to bring the volume of the guitars up like that so that they're louder. We've then got this vocal that comes in here, and when this comes in, you'll hear it's going to be a bit too loud. Let's take a listen. When you open your eyes up to... So what we can do is we can bring the volume of that down. Let's do that now. We'll hit play and bring the volume down. To the sky above, and you see the world. There is nothing. Sounding good, yeah. And then we can go ahead and tweak other instruments and other tracks exactly as we want to, and eventually we'll have a nice balanced mix. The one other tip when you're using volume faders or sliders is if you want to go back to unity gain or 0, you can just double tap on any one of these and it will pop straight back to 0. So if you've done a bunch of mix moves and you go, I don't like that anymore, you can double tap to bring them back to 0. There you are, the volume sliders or faders, the easiest way to adjust your volume in GarageBand. Method number 2 is to use something called clip gain. Now this is super handy if you've got a track like this lead guitar part that is in several sections, because what if these ones I want to keep at that 0 dB, that unity gain, but this final solo, what if I want to boost the volume of just that one? Now I could use automation, which we'll be covering in the next tip, but an easier way is if we have it separated out like this is to use clip gain. So to use this, we tap right here on this one, we tap on the settings, and then it's going to bring us into the settings for this track. Now you can see here, I've already played around with this, so we'll double tap to put that back to 0. Now if I wanted to turn this down, I can drop it down, and here's the good part. In clip gain, we actually get a dB indicator, so we know exactly how much we're going up and down. So this means that we get more control, so we can actually move this up. So we want it to go up around 4 dB. We can slide it up like that, hit on done, and now just this clip is going to be louder. If we want to compare it, we can tap on this one, go into settings, and there you go. That one's at 0 dB. We can adjust that one separately. So this is a handy way to get a different volume in one part compared to another part on the same track. What if we have something like this where we've got one big long audio clip and we want to separate this out? Well, we can use our split tool and then turn this into 2 clips. Let's show you how. We'll just tap on this one. We're going to tap split. We'll line up our split between these two, pull on down, and check this out. We've now got 2 individual clips. So if I wanted the volume in this second verse to be louder than the first without using automation, I can tap on this one, tap again, tap on settings, and then I can dial up the clip gain and just give me a little more volume in that second verse where it's starting to really kick in. So that's a handy way to manage your volume. Even if you've got everything in like one long recording, you can split it up into clips and then adjust your clip gain independently. One final thing on clip gain, what about our virtual instruments? Well, they work a little bit different, and the way they work is with velocity. So if we tap on, say, this electric piano, tap again and go to settings, this time instead of gain, we have velocity. Now, velocity and gain or volume are slightly different. I've got another video explaining the difference, which I'll link down in the description if you want to learn more, but it's basically how hard the virtual instrument will be hit, which does result in an increase or a decrease decrease in the actual volume, but it's not going to change the volume or the gain exactly as a regular audio track does. You still have control using your faders or sliders here, as well as things like automation, which is a good segue because that's what we're going to talk about right now. Automation is my third favorite volume control method in GarageBand. Yes, that means you've got two more even cooler things to come in this video. How do we use automation? Well, if we tap on this vocal track, for instance, we're going to tap right here on the icon, and then if we scroll across, we can find automation. Now, what automation does is it automates the volume. So this volume slider over here is at a static position, but we can actually make GarageBand automatically turn up and down that volume slider for us by setting some automation points. Let's jump in and show you how to do that right now. So firstly, we need to turn on the ability to add automation points. So in the top left here, we slide this one across, and now we can actually add in points. So let's just say that between these two, we'll just zoom in, between these two bits of audio, we want the volume to go all the way down. Well, guess what we can do? We can tap just at the end of that one, tap at the start of that one, give it a little bit of space in there, a little bit of space in there, drag that one across, and what you've got there now is 4 separate automation points. But what we can do is if we turn off in the top left, we can now grab this middle part and bring it all the way down. So what this is going to do is when we play between these two verses, it's going to drop our volume and then bring it all the way back up again. Let's hit play. You'll hear the end of this verse. You'll see the volume go down to 0 and then back up ready for our second verse. Let's take a listen. Of the 1%. When you open your mouth. Pretty cool, yeah. A great way to reduce the volume in those bits where you're just standing around, you're not actually doing anything. You can, of course, do this right between different phrases. So another great use I have for volume automation is for removing breath sounds. So if, like me, you breathe a bit heavily when you're singing, all you need to do here is do a similar sort of thing. I call it the triangle of destiny. We put this here, we put this here, we put this here, and then we turn it off and we drop this down. And the beautiful part of automation is you don't have to go all the way down to 0. You can just drop it down a little bit, and that way you don't make it sound completely robotic. You're not removing every bit of that breath sound, but you're removing enough to make it sound better. So let's just play this passage and take a listen to how it sounds. Open your mind up to the evidence. So hear that, you could hear that breath there, but here you couldn't hear the breath sound. So that's pretty cool in my opinion. So that's a couple of ways to use automation. The other way to use automation is if you do want to indeed turn up a part of a track. If there's something that you don't want to use clip gain for and you want to turn up a part of a track to make it louder. Let's show you that now. So this lead guitar part here at the end, it starts off a bit too quiet. So I actually want this to be louder, but then when it gets to this part, I want it to drop down. So again, we're going to tap on our icon there. We're going to go automation. We're going to turn on our automation points in the top left. So this time what I'll do, so we want it to come in here and be a bit louder there. And then the point we want it to sort of go down again is when it gets to here. So remember, you use your 2 points, whoop, tap, tap. Use 2 points in automation so that you can bring up the whole bar here and make it a lot easier on yourself. So we're going to grab this and then we're going to bring it up. It's going to create a little increase there, but then it's going to slope down there into this part. Let's just play this little lead guitar part and take a listen to how this is going to sound. Hear how it's louder there, so it's amplifying the sound there, and then it's dropping down. If we bring this back into our mix, it's going to sound better because it's going to fit in with the rest of the instruments. Don't care, what can you do? And it's their fault anyway. So because I didn't play that first part loud enough, we can adjust that in the mixing phase by using automation. Pretty handy. Now we've really just scraped the surface of automation. You can do other cool things like automating effects to come in and out and automating panning. You do have to use a few hacks, and luckily enough, I've got some videos showing exactly how to do that down in the description. Let's move on to number 4 and my second favorite way to adjust volume here in GarageBand, and that is to use the merge function. Now the merge function, like automation, can be used for so many different things, and once again, there's more videos down below if you want to learn more. But a great use of merge merge is to actually normalize the volume of a track that is too low. So take a look at this bass track. It's okay. It sounds all right when we play it here in the mix, but it's too low. Like, I can't see the waveforms. I can't edit it properly because I recorded it at a low volume. Now, really, I should probably go back and re-record it. But if you're getting someone else's tracks, or if you don't have the ability to do that, we can use merge to increase this. So let's show you how to do that now. Let's play this bass track just to take a listen to what it's like now. We'll hit play. So it's okay, but yeah, a little bit too quiet, yeah? What we can do, we can tap right here again on the icon. Don't tap out here for all of these. Tap right on the icon and then go merge. And it will bring up our merge options here. Now, you can merge one track or you can merge multiple tracks. I'll show you that in a moment. But for now, we just want to merge this one bass track with itself, because what that's going to do is normalize the volume. We'll see what that does in a moment. We'll tap on merge in the top right corner. Now, what it will do is it will create a duplicate copy of our project, and then it will merge that file. Take a look at that. It has merged it, but it's also normalized the volume, which means it's pushed the peaks up to 0 dB. It just means that we've got a nice even waveform now, and I can go in and do my editing a lot easier. But of course, it's going to be significantly louder. If I play this as is, take a listen. We'll solo it and then take a listen. So when you merge to normalize, you'll generally want to then drop your volume down, which you know how to do because you're an expert at the volume fader now. Or of course you can use clip gain or automation, any of the other methods. So now we can bring this down to bring it back into our mix and make sure that it's still working for us. When you open your eyes up to the sky above, sounding good and working well, and it just means when we're doing our editing, we can easily see all the different waveforms. This works well for vocals and for guitars and for other things. Just make sure that when you're recording, you're not recording too low. You're getting that gain at the right level, not too high and not too low, and you won't have to use this too often, but when you have to use it, it can come in super handy. The other use of merge is not specifically volume related, but I'm going to show you here because it's pretty cool. And that is we can merge multiple tracks together into one. This is handy if you run out of tracks, or say you've got a bunch of backing vocals and you want to just mix them all down into one stereo track. We'll use the same method. We'll use these two guitars, these two rhythm guitars, to show you this. So we'll solo them here. We'll tap on one of them and then we'll hit the merge button. Now, this time around, we need to actually select over here on the left any tracks we want to merge together, and you could merge them all, you can merge some, it doesn't matter. Then we're going to tap on the merge button in the top right corner. It's going to do its same thing again. It's going to merge, take a little longer this time, normalize, and there it is. So here is those two guitar tracks together as one. Do we want to take a listen to what it sounds like? Let's come in here and hit the play button. And because we had these panned left and panned right, we've now got a stereo file with one guitar on the left and one on the right, but it's only taking up one stereo track here in GarageBand. It's a super useful tip, and of course, it will do the same thing. It will normalize that volume, so it will give you that volume boost and give you a more standardized volume and waveform to play with at the same time. And the good thing about merging is if you make a mistake and then you're going on and you're like, no, I don't want those merged anymore. Guess what? GarageBand saves you a copy of your original project. So if we come out here, here is the project we've got. There's the first copy from when we did the first merge, and there's the second one. So if I want to go back to the unmerged version, I can just reopen this version, and there we go. We're back there with our bass track and our guitar tracks still intact. I hope you're enjoying this video and getting value out of these GarageBand volume tips. If you are, feel free to hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel to be updated on all of the videos. We've got new ones coming out almost every day. It is time for my favorite volume related hack here in GarageBand, and that's using our visual EQ and the gain slider to adjust our volume. Here's how we do it. Say we have this vocal and we want to change the volume, but look, we've got this yellowed out slider because we've got automation on this track now. We can't just change the volume. Or can we? Here's what we can do. If we come up here to the top, to the mixer icon. Now, if you're on a smaller iPhone, it'll be in the top right under your settings, and you can go to your mixer. If we come in here to plugins and EQ, and we go to the visual EQ, we'll turn it on, and then we'll tap on this one, we can adjust our EQ. And I've got videos about EQ explaining how to use this. You can adjust your bass, your mids, and your trebles. It's pretty cool. But take a look at this. Over here on the right, we also have this one, which is a volume fader. And the cool thing about this is, if I want to say just take 5 dB off this vocal, I can grab this volume fader, drag it down here, and you can see on the side here, we've got our plus minus. So that's 5 dB down, and now we can hit done on that one. Now this track is actually going to be 5 dB quieter. Let's come in and play and take a listen. High above, and you see the world. There is nothing. So before it was way too loud, we've now been able to bring it down. Let's show you that in real time again. If we tap on the visual EQ there, we can hit play and I'll adjust this and we'll be able to turn it up and down and you'll be able to hear the difference. Nothing that you can do but close your eyes again, 'cause you don't like what you're seeing. There you go. That's about where I'd want it, down about 6 or 7 dB. And that means if you do a whole bunch of moves on your automation, and then you go, actually, I want that down just 1 or 2 dB, instead of going in and having to change all your different automation points and coming in here, it can be a real mess. You can just go to your visual EQ and turn the volume down a little bit. I've got one more thing for you using this same method, which is super cool. Let's check that out now. So we can use this exact same method to turn up or down our entire mix. And here's how we do it. All we need to do is tap on this FX button. Now you're thinking, Pete, why are we adding FX to this? Don't worry, it will all make sense in a moment. First thing we need to do is just record a second or two of any old FX. So let's hit record. It's going to count us in. That sounded kind of cool. Anyway, we don't want that there. We'll tap away from the FX to go out of there. And now down here, you'll see we've got this purple FX track. Now, I don't want this bit in here, so we're going to tap that, tap again, and delete. But what it's left behind is this FX track. Now, FX by its very nature is applied to every single track. You can't add FX to a single track. Well, you actually can. There's a hack for that too. I'll put that in the description. But by design, you add FX to everything, which means anything you put on the FX track will apply to everything. Are you with me? Are you with me here? I think you are. Let's come in here to our mixer icon. We got visual EQ. Yeah, we can change the visual EQ of our FX track. We tap on that one. You guessed it. We got a volume fader for our entire mix. So let's play around with this one now. We'll hit play on the mix and I'll show you how we can adjust the overall volume of our whole project. Let's hit go. Yeah? Want it louder? When you open your eyes up to the... How cool is that? I love this trick and it works really well just because you don't have to go back and change each individual fader. If your mix is sounding good, but maybe it's just pumping, it's too hot, too high, you're hitting up here in the red and the orange, you can just come in here, bring it down a few dB. It's also great before you master a track because GarageBand does a thing called auto normalization, which brings all your volumes up. And if your volumes are too high, you get some pumping and some limiting sounds there. You bring this down 5 or 10 dB, export your track, you're going to get a much more manageable mix file that you can then master. So there you go. That is the master volume hack using visual EQ here in GarageBand. There you go. Did you learn something new? Did you learn a volume hack or trick that you didn't know before? Let me know your favorite volume trick, hack, or tip down below. And if you've got any others that I didn't cover in this one, let me know down there as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.